Chappell Roan has taken the music industry by storm, cultivating one of the most dedicated fan bases around.
Describe Chappell Roan fans in one word.
Committed, sparkly, iconic.
Seeing you happen in a relatively short time has brought me so much joy, and I want to thank you for the pleasure you give me so far, and we will support you forever here.
But as her career reached impossible heights, some were already saying that it had come crashing down around her. Is she the hero the music industry needs, or the villain that some make her out to be? Well, the answer to that will depend on who you ask, because devout Christians have some serious problems with Chappell Roan.
I do believe these artists, many of them, have no idea how much they are being used and orchestrated by the devil. If you are someone who is listening to Chappell Roan as a Christian, or you're maybe a Christian parent who has a child that you are allowing to listen to Chappell Roan, I urge you to hit the delete button.
This hugely negative reaction all stemmed from one simple performance at Hinterland Festival 2024. Wearing what some would describe as an extremely provocative nun outfit, Chappell Roan wowed fans with one of her trademark unique performances. Coupled with her referencing a previous relationship where she was described as an ungodly woman, and her response to that person, "Look at me now." And it guaranteed this controversy was about to make headlines. As the show finished and people took to social media, it definitely wasn't all smiles as fury erupted from certain religious folk, claiming that the on-stage attire was extremely disrespectful, painting her as pop music's latest villain. According to many fans though, the outfit choice was perhaps a bit more innocent than some were making out.
It's a tribute to the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, who have been around since the 1970s and are revered in the queer community. They fought for LGBTQ+ rights, supported charities when the AIDS crisis hit, and have supported queer charity groups as well as the trans and drag community worldwide.
But in the eyes of many religious people, this kind of explanation was not enough, and the damage was already done. Chappell Roan had managed to make some serious enemies. Luckily though, her ever-growing fanbase respected her authenticity, confidence and boldness. It's something that they truly love her for, and it's fair to say when it comes to standing up for herself, she certainly doesn't shy away from being the hero that many fans need. Although she may have an extremely loyal following, it doesn't mean she allows her supporters to cross boundaries, and Chappell Roan made that very clear.
I don't care that it's normal. I don't care that this crazy type of behavior comes along with the job, the career field I've chosen. It doesn't mean I want it, doesn't mean that I like it. I don't give a if you think it's selfish of me to say no for a photo or for your time or for a hug. I'm allowed to say no to creepy behavior.
This kind of statement caused a rift on social media, with many die-hard fans praising her desire to set firm boundaries, whereas others believed that it was over the top and the way in which she spoke about her supporters was unacceptable. Surprisingly though, this isn't the only time this kind of outspoken behaviour has landed her in hot water with some people. It's no secret that the level of fame that has hit Chappell Roan over the past year is unprecedented, and it's taken a serious toll on her mental health. Not exactly shocking when you think of the pressures of the music industry and everything that comes with it. Unfortunately, that includes the media, and a heated run-in with a photographer earned Chappell Roan a very mixed reception on social media.
I gotta shut the f*** up, you missed the spot!
Shut the
Hey! Yeah! Yo! Your pulse is home. Chappell!
Many fans jumped to her aid, saying that it was refreshing to see this kind of confident behaviour and that she was well within her rights to stand up for herself when it comes to treatment she considered to be unacceptable. Others, however, were not so kind, describing her as rude, with many finding it baffling and saying she clearly had a complete lack of media training. But incredibly, this wasn't the end of the situation, as not too far into the future it was time for round 2. Chappell actually ended up once again running into this same photographer at an event where she confronted them, demanding an apology for what she believed was their unacceptable behaviour. No matter what people think of her outspoken attitude though, there can't be any debate when it comes to her history of charity work. Chappell Roan is widely praised by both fans and other people in the music industry as a modern hero for her incredible support of LGBTQ causes and other female charities. Her work in collaboration with her supporters through the use of various social impact platforms has generated hundreds of thousands of dollars in support of reproductive rights, with many pointing out that given the current climate surrounding this topic in various countries, it's more important than ever. Her selfless support of marginalised groups doesn't end there though, with Chappell Roan being an outspoken member of the LGBTQ community, championing them wherever possible.
I dedicate this to queer and trans people that fuel pop And for all the queer kids in the Midwest watching right now, I see you, I understand you, because I'm one of you. And don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't be exactly who you want to be, bitch.
She also made the firm commitment to donate $1 from every ticket sold on her Midwest Princess tour to a charity which helps with financial support for black trans individuals. Many fans reference these kinds of decisions when discussing how much of a hugely positive figure she is to different kinds of people. With her work for these kinds of charities seemingly making it pretty obvious where her heart lies politically, Chappell Roan hit headlines recently in the strangest way possible when many online accused her of being a Trump supporter. In June 2024, she declined an invitation to perform at a White House Pride event, which surprised some people, particularly with her being such a vocal member of the LGBTQ community. She gave the explanation that she originally planned to accept and perform a protest in relation to the government's handling of current international conflicts and other issues, but instead refused and made her feelings very clear.
Asked me to perform for Pride. We want liberty, justice, and freedom for all. When you do that, that's when I'll come.
Things heated up even further in the run-up to the controversial 2024 US election when she made the decision to refuse to endorse a political candidate in any way. Before being allowed to explain this decision, social media took her to town, ripping her to shreds and painting her as a villain amid claims that because of this she was apparently backing Trump, which didn't seem to line up with her background at all. This led to Chappell Roan needing to clarify her position in a much more accurate way.
Hear it from my mouth, if you're still wondering. No, I'm not voting for Trump. And yes, I will always question those in power. I'm sorry that you fell for the clickbait.
Many fans pointed out how this was a perfect example of jumping to the wrong conclusion, and in hindsight her political view should have been very obvious given her huge support of various communities including the drag scene. This is something that is evidently very close to her heart as it plays a key part in her performances, from her onstage attire to using local talent as her opening acts. Tons of people have huge respect for Chappell Roan for championing the world of drag, with her going even further to support performing acts in a much more personal way, displaying Venmo profiles for current performers in order for them to receive live tips from fans at her concerts. That's a level of support very rarely seen in the music industry, but even that isn't enough for some people who have tried to paint her as the biggest monster in pop music. The problem with becoming one of the fastest growing music stars in the world is that it of course comes with immense pressures that can ultimately lead to burnout, something Chappell Roan is all too familiar with. She's been very open about her mental health struggles, even disclosing a diagnosis of severe depression to her fans. Combine this with the difficulty of meeting an extremely busy schedule and you have a recipe for disaster when it comes to pleasing your entire fan base, something that Chappell Roan would unfortunately realise when her rise to fame completely blew up in her face. She would frustrate and even anger some fans by cancelling a number of shows in Europe at the very last minute, with scheduling conflicts being cited as the reason. As if her followers weren't annoyed enough already, having lost thousands on hotels and travel plans that were now too late to change, they really reached boiling point not too long after when they saw her appear on the MTV VMA Awards, with many putting two and two together and deducing that their concerts had been shelved in order for her to prepare for the award show performance, and they took to social media immediately to voice their displeasure. With her rapid increase in popularity taking a serious toll on her, she sadly had to pull out of another appearance not too long after, this time stating that her mental health was seriously suffering and she needed to prioritise her health, leaving fans speculating that maybe this was the reason for the original cancellations all along, with it being far more understandable, although it didn't make them any less happy about the mixed messages. Fortunately, it seems like her community can't be mad at her for too long, with her being seen as a true hero in the eyes of many. In connection with her fanbase, she has created numerous fundraisers, with one of the most prominent involving a very unique type of donation. Chappell Roan encouraged people attending her concerts to donate personally made friendship bracelets that would then be sold on by her team, with 100% of the profits being made available for relief funds in Gaza. Things like this are one of the major reasons she has such a dedicated following, with her using her platform for serious social impact. But it appears sadly even that level of selflessness isn't enough for some people who've already made their mind up about her, going as far as to describe her as ungrateful. As the most successful year of her career came to a close, Chappell Roan made a very bold decision that cost her the support of many knowledgeable people in the music industry. She made what many would describe as the difficult decision to part ways with her long-term manager Nick Babetsky. But the real question is, why was this considered unacceptable by some people? She received a ton of backlash for this, as many people perceived it as her being extremely ungrateful with regards to Babetsky's hard work in totally revitalising her career. 4 years prior to this bitter breakup, Chappell Roan had been dropped by Atlantic Records and things weren't looking good for her future in the industry. Nick swooped in to take her under his wing, supporting her through a difficult transition period and truly believing in her talent, as she attempted to redefine her image and become what many would see as a more authentic version of herself. Fast forward just a few years and her new style and direction had blossomed, with the incredible talent developing into one of the biggest pop stars on the planet, with Nick Babetsky being credited as a huge part of this success. But following what had been a very difficult 6-month period for Chappell Roan, including backlash from fans, run-ins with media and political controversy, the relationship between the two had become incredibly strained, with them having diverging opinions on the vision for Roan's future in the industry. The tensions were too high and she made the choice to part ways with her management, receiving the support of many of her most die-hard fans. Others, however, were not so complimentary, describing her as rude and not appreciative of the help she'd gained to get her to the top of the music mountain. The rise of Chappell Roan has been a true sight to behold, with her dominating the music scene in one of the most unique reinventions in recent times. It's not all been plain sailing though. As the difficulties of fame have taken hold of her, many of her former fans have turned their backs, believing that maybe she wasn't the hero they'd idolised. Even though some may now paint her as pop's biggest villain, it's hard for her close-knit community to ignore the huge positive impact she's had on people's lives, from charity to freedom of expression and inclusivity. What some may dislike about Chappell Roan when it comes to being outspoken and firm in her beliefs is the exact reason others resonate with the star and will continue to support her. No matter which side someone may fall on, there can be no doubt that her impact on pop music is unprecedented. And with her future firmly in her own hands, it seems like the incredible journey of Chappell Roan isn't about to slow down anytime soon.